Thrifting 101, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, welcome to my channel. I'm glad you're here. If you saw my last video, you know we went to Clermont and did a little thrifting there, and I got so much stuff I'm going to break it up into a few different videos, and this is the first one. I hope you enjoy it. I think I found this in the first store we went to downtown Clermont. It's Fenton and it's Satin Custard. It's not marked, but they're pretty easy to spot. I paid $2.50 for it. They were made between the 70s and the 80s. They're not all that old. And in my happiness to find one, because I usually don't, and when I usually find them, they're painted. I have not run across one that isn't. I noticed it needs a lot of cleanup. So I'm hoping that I can get it cleaned up for sale. I picked up this really pretty January angel made by the Lefton Company in the 1950s, and it has spaghetti string trim, and I remember that because I did find another one a little while back, and I do love them. And I paid $2 for it, and while I was doing a little research on it, I found out a lot of interesting things about Lefton that I'd like to share with you. So when I was researching the angel, I found some interesting facts on George Salton Lefton, who founded the company in 1939. And he was originally from Hungary and moved to America. He moved to Chicago. And his profession then was in sportswear, but he really loved working with porcelain. And he came up with these beautiful little figurines, these angels. And he started a very successful company right there in Chicago. And all his products were manufactured in Japan, and back then, right after the war, World War II, most American business people did not want anything to do working with the Japanese, but he did, and he was very successful at it. I picked up this set of 7 Christmas dinnerware at the St. Vincent de Paul thrift store. I picked up a lot of stuff at that store. And again, they charged me 89 cents for every plate. And they're Noel porcelain by the House of Salem. And they're like a milk glass, but I guess they're very hard porcelain. And they remind me of the same archipel. So French, must be the French version of milk glass. And they're pretty good sellers. They could sell them on eBay for about $20, $25, and I think it will. I love Amberina, and I saw this little hen-on-nest salt cellar for 75 cents, and I just grabbed it right up. And it was made by the Ellie Smith Company, and the reason I know it was made by Ellie Smith, even though it's not marked, when I did my research, I saw the exact same one, and it had an Ellie Smith tag on it. And it was probably made in the 70s, although they did make these figurines from the early 1910s all the way to 2010. And they're pretty good sellers. They sell for about anywhere from $10 to $20. I bought a set of 10 of these grill plates. They're opalescent for 89 cents a plate. And they're really, really cool. I'd never seen them before, so I was excited to get home and do some research. They're made by the Fry Company. Actually HC Fry Company, and it's called a Fauval, this pattern. And Fauval actually is an acronym for Fry Oven Glass Art Line. And they were made between 1926 and 1927, and they were like a must-have for the modern American homemaker back then. They're very cool. They made a lot of other pieces, and they were actually licensed by Corning, which I found very interesting. And some of the pieces, they did go out of business in, I believe it was 1933. He died in 1929. And Libby bought the company, and I've heard they've been reproduced. And I know somebody on eBay is selling them and stating they're made in the 1950s. But for all my research, that's the only person I could find that's selling these that are not dated from the 1920s. And they're really good sellers. They sell for about $10 to $20 a plate, and they're very, very heavy. One more thing I did want to mention on these beautiful Fry opalescent plates is that during my research, I found out that opalescent was actually made using aluminum oxide, and I thought that was a pretty interesting fact. And I did get a message from my original Clermont thrifting haul from somebody named Howard who knew that they were Fry. So Howard, if you have any more information to tell me, I would love to hear from you. I think I picked these up at the Salvation Army. They're just two. I paid $1 for both. They're Anchor Hocking Royal Ruby in the charm pattern, and they produce them between the 40s and the 60s. And you've seen me show them before. I collect them in red and I collect them in green. And even though they were just 2 cups, if you remember in a previous video, I was lucky enough to find just the saucers. So now I actually have 2 more sets. Yay for me. Picked up the set of 6 Blendo 1955 West Virginia company at the St. Vincent de Paul thrift store. And I went back and forth on them because they were kind of expensive for me. I think I paid $2.69 a glass. And I didn't pick them up. I picked them up. I didn't pick them up. Finally, I figured if I didn't buy them, I would regret them. And that's because every time I see Blendo, I always have to buy it, and I'm not sure why. But they're really pretty. And I'll probably sell them for, I don't know, maybe $5 to $7 a glass. I picked this up at the Salvation Army. I was having such a good time in that store. And it's Anchor Hocking, and it's Royal Ruby in the Windsor pattern. And they were produced in the 1940s. And I have a few of these myself, so I think I'm going to sell this one. I think I paid $5 for it, which is kind of a lot for me. But I don't see them around very often. And someone just sold one for $50 with free shipping. And now I see them listed anywhere from $18 to $45. So Christmas is coming. I hope to get a little more than $18 for it. It's in great shape. So that was part 1 of my Clermont thrifting haul. Hope you enjoyed it. If you watched the road trip video, you noticed I found lots and lots of Pyrex, Corelle, milk glass, and I'm saving that for my next video. So I hope you enjoyed that also. Have a great day. We'll see you real soon. Remember from video 2 or 3?
Yeah. Right.
Are you kidding?